Hello again, everyone. Welcome to Washington Gun Law TV. I'm Washington Gun Law President William Kirk. Thanks for joining us. Hey, I'm going to talk to you about a very bizarre set of circumstances that could actually occur in one of the states here in the United States. It is literally something that could only be created by a state that has completely ludicrous and insane gun laws. And many of you are probably thinking, oh, he's talking about California. I'm not, actually. I'm talking about the state that is usually on the silver medal platform when it comes to crazy gun laws, and of course that is the state of Illinois. For those of you who've been geeking out, you know that there is a possibility that there will be an injunction on the Illinois assault weapon ban, and even another possibility that some people may be able to lawfully purchase it. But guess what, Illinois? You may still be in violation of that law if that injunction is ever stayed, and we'll explain how. So today, let's spend a few minutes, let's have a dose of reality, and let's talk about the state that may let you buy it legally, but not own it legally. Okay, listen, before we get going too far down the road we're going down, proud to announce that this video is being brought to you by Sonoran Desert Institute. That's right, get ready to launch your career in the firearms industry, start arming yourself with education, start defending the inalienable rights of millions of Americans nationwide through education. For more information, visit our good friends at Sonoran Desert Institute. That's sdi.edu. Check them out in the description box below. Okay, we are talking about a potential injunction on the Protect Illinois Communities Act, or what we like to call here the most unconstitutional piece of civilian disarmament legislation we have ever covered here at Washington Gun Law. Now, the date of the recording of this video is actually October 22nd, which means as of midnight last night, all parties' briefs are in. That is, both the plaintiffs and the defendants. We already mentioned that the defendants had thrown in about 3,500 pages of gobbledygook, most of it horror stories about things that have been done with assault weapons, and we will report back as soon as we've had an opportunity to digest all of the plaintiffs' briefs. We also talked on this video right here, and then that spurred this video right here, that, hey, listen, there could be an injunction, and therefore if you lined up your background check and your waiting period and all that, you might be able to actually take possession of a semi-automatic rifle or any other firearm that falls under the purview of Illinois' assault weapon ban during that injunctive period. But everything would have to line up just right, and you'd have to have some FFLs willing to do that, and we also gave you some caveats about that. But here's what I want you to understand, Illinois, is that, as you know, we have predicted all along what's going to happen with these cases in the Southern District of Illinois. It's going to be this. You're going to win, and then there's going to be a stay, and then there's going to be an appeal, and then you're going to lose. And that's exactly what we think is going to happen here. And so if that were to happen, let's say that you were lucky enough to actually procure a brand new assault weapon as defined by Illinois law during that injunctive period of time, and therefore you have absolutely positively come into possession of it, come into ownership of it lawfully. And then that injunction is stayed. The minute that injunction is stayed, you are actually in violation of the Protect Illinois Communities Act. And you're like, how is that? Well, let us remember that actually the only way you can keep one of these scary assault weapons is that you have to register the firearm with the Illinois State Police Department, okay? And as a matter of fact, the declaration that you would have to fill out would state, under penalty of perjury, that you owned and possessed this firearm prior to January 10th of 2023, and obviously you cannot sign that under penalty of perjury if you came into possession of it, even though you came into possession of it lawfully, sometime in October or November of 2024. Now, of course, that begs the question, well, what if I don't want to register the firearm? Well, guess what? If you don't want to register the firearm, you already know that you are in violation of the Protect Illinois Communities Act, and you also know that most people in the state of Illinois don't really seem to care. As a matter of fact, one of the biggest mountains of material that we've ever had to work with on this channel was, of course, the weekly updates on how many fools were actually out there in Illinois registering their firearms. That is essentially telling the Illinois state government, where can you come get a firearm if you decide at some point you want to confiscate it. And if you will recall, we were doing weekly updates where we were breaking things down by the individual, the total items registered, the number of firearms that were registered, the number of accessories that were registered, and the ammunition that was registered. And even though you were supposed to have everything registered by the stroke of midnight, January 31st of 2023, essentially ringing in the new year, Some of you, for whatever reason, continued to register items. Now, maybe this was just data that the state of Illinois was updating later, or maybe it was some people doing something really dumb. But the last numbers that we actually ever got from the Illinois State Police were these numbers right here on January 23rd of 2024. Now, we also talked about compliance rate, and this is where we circle back to, are you in fact going to register these firearms? Well, my bet is no, and I'll tell you why. Because as much as we played with the numbers, and we did all sorts of things, and of course, Governor Pritzker was out there saying, oh, no, the numbers are much higher than that. And so we actually took him at face value and said, okay, well, let's use some of his creative numbers as well. And as you will recall, we ultimately estimated that the state of Illinois compliance rate with this statute, that is anybody who had actually an item, not just an assault weapon. Remember, there were magazines, there were accessories, there was ammunition, there was all sorts of things that needed to be registered if you had the audacity to possess it. And we ultimately said that the compliance rate was somewhere between 1.21% or as high as 11.6%. Now, if we're going to set the over-under at about right here, 6.5, I can absolutely assure you that all the smart money is on the under, because I really do believe the compliance rate was somewhere down in the low single digits. So, Illinois, most of you are already willing to take this risk and say, well, I'm not going to register this firearm. And in this situation, even if you attempted to register it, you literally do not qualify for registration, and you literally would be putting into writing and then handing to the Illinois State Police evidence that you are now in possession of an unlawful firearm. So if you find an FFL that's willing to do this, and if you are willing to do this, you need to understand the complexity that comes with the remainder of the Protect Illinois Communities Act if an injunction is ultimately stayed, which again, we predict it will. Listen, I got to tell you, Illinois, your state's a little bit like a cold sore. And what I mean by that is you can lay dormant for months and months and we never do any videos about Illinois. And then the minute something happens out there, it completely flares up and it's like a daily video. So this is probably not the last video we're going to be doing. We know we are expecting a huge ruling out of the Southern District of Illinois. And then things are going to move very fast and furious. Listen, if you got any questions about this, or anything else related to what's left of our Second Amendment rights, and out there in Illinois, that is not much. You guys should know how to get a hold of Washington gun law by now, but if you don't, that's okay. That information, it's down there in the description box. If you got an idea for a video we should be doing around here, great, let's hear it, okay? Go ahead and click on that link right there and let us know. It's probably gonna be better than any idea I come up with this week. If all you want to do is just subscribe to our newsletter, hey, you could have skipped the video by now and gone to the description box and done that already. That information is down there. And then finally, and most importantly, let's everyone remember that part of being the lawful and responsible gun owner, like we talk about all the time here, is to know what the law is in every situation and how it applies to you in any instance that you may find yourself. Until next time, thanks for watching and stay safe.